When you talk about leadership, the first thing you have to be able to do is to grow your ability to be aware of yourself. If you're not aware of how you're showing up, if you're not aware of how your leadership style is affecting your team, you're going to have a tough time.
All right, welcome back to Lowkey Genius Podcast. Today we have an incredible guest, Kimberly Benoit, a strategic leader with over 20 years of experience in leadership, development, operational excellence, and organizational growth. She worked with Fortune 50 companies, nonprofits, and led massive learning initiatives at Oshner Health. But beyond all that, she is also the host of We've All Done It, a podcast that dives into the real challenges and lessons of leadership. Today, we're going to explore her journey, the power of storytelling in leadership, and what it takes to create a podcast that truly makes an impact. Let's get into it. Welcome, Kimberly.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, it was a pleasure having you today on my show to talk about your story. So, to get started, can you give us a little bit of background? How did you started with what you do right now?
How did I start? Well, I would say so. What I'm doing right now is I work for myself and I support teams and organizations in a variety of ways. I
Yes,
have a true passion with helping people go from like things are broken and not working and like
yes,
they're dysfunctional and like people are quitting and angry and backstabby and all the things
yes,
to getting people into a place that is functional and where somebody is actually happy going to work. A lot of that just has to do with I've worked with a lot of different cultures, different industries that I've seen things done well and I've seen things done poorly. And so over time, I've just decided why not get in and help organizations take advantage of what I've learned through that process. So regardless of industry, regardless of size, like you said, I work from nonprofit all the way to Fortune 50. Ironically, they're not that different. People are people and we're messy on many occasions. So regardless of where you are, experiences tend to be quite the same.
yes. People are messy, and we just have to find the right place for them, and of course for us. Sometimes we are just in the wrong place. That's why we are not growing, we are not learning.
Yeah.
Like me, like just last month, I resigned from my full time work to do this podcasting because I believe I can be more of me. I can express myself. I get to learn from other people, and I believe it is where growth are. And as you will notice, I'm not really good at speaking in English, but
You're
I'm
doing a
doing
great
my
job.
best. Yes, thank you so much. This is my 16th episode, and I just launched my third episode this week. I
Hmm.
am just launching this week, and I'm really excited because I get to learn from a lot of people.
Yeah.
And about what you said that you are helping other people get into the right place, helping them. It's kind of interesting that there's someone like you helping people who are, get burnout with their work, and it's normal because
Hmm.
sometimes we have this kind of the management, the bosses that are not, I don't want to say, but let's talk about your podcasting. What inspired you to start it?
So it's funny you talk about management. So the
Yes,
population of people that I like to work with are leaders. And so how the podcast came about is because when I left my corporate career, it's actually a story. So I was having drinks with a colleague of mine, and we were talking about leaders we loved and leaders we hated.
yes,
Leaders that we thought were good people, but they were terrible leaders. Whether they had favoritism, they weren't good at holding people accountable, they were wishy washy, those kind of things. And I had this moment where I thought to myself, because I was a leader, and I thought, I wonder how many of my employees say this stuff about me. And so it was kind of an aha moment. And that led me into, I wrote a book called We've All Done
yes,
It. And so the book was around really challenging leaders to confront when we are the problem. We may not be the whole problem, but we definitely can be part of the problem. Um,
Yes.
and and but that's hard for people to admit. I feel like we have moved into a position, particularly in American culture, where showing weakness of any kind, saying that you were the mistake, could sometimes be a liability and result in you
Yes.
getting sued or some kind of crazy things. But the truth is leaders make mistakes too. We're people. We have
Exactly.
good days, we have bad days. And so I wanted to create a space in the book where leaders can talk about that stuff. And so when I launched the book, I decided to launch the podcast with it because I felt like it brought more humanity and more realism, that when I would bring other leaders in to say, hey, this happened to me, I was the problem. It's like the Taylor Swift song, It's Me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me.
Yes.
Concept. But like what I want to do is create a space where other people, other leaders can listen and say, oh, that's me. And understand not only is it okay to make mistakes, but like, what did that person do to get out of the mistake? Like, what did they do to fix the problem? Because I always want people who listen to my podcast to feel that they are being seen, but also come away with ideas of, if this is you, or if you've been in this, or you're in this situation, what are some things you can try to hopefully correct what's happening. I always tell people I wanted to create a space that was compassionate, that was humble. Like, it's okay to say you've screwed up. I screwed up so many times. But that's how you learn, is by making mistakes. I mean, if you think about walking,
Yes.
you don't just start walking. You fall down a lot. And I think the same applies to leadership. You're going to make mistakes. And I also wanted it to be fun. Like, I wanted us to be able to talk about how some of the stuff we've done at the time was not funny, but maybe in hindsight, you can laugh at yourself and say, that was a good effort, but so misguided. And so how can we bring some of that levity to that journey of self-awareness and growth?
Yes. And I think everyone wants fun and light workspace. But what do you think about, what is your thoughts about, they want it, but they don't see that they are doing the wrong thing on
Hmm.
their team. What is your thoughts about that? Because I know someone, they want fun and exciting and
Oh,
engaging team, they want communication, but they can see it in themselves that they're like the reason everyone is not cooperating.
so that's probably the hardest situation to be in, because when you talk about leadership, the first thing you have to be able to do is to grow your ability to be aware of yourself.
Yes.
And particularly for new leaders or young leaders, that's really hard, right? Because you think you're doing all the right things, and then you might get feedback from people, and especially if you don't agree with the feedback, you tend to discount it, or you tend to
Yes.
dismiss it as, well, they just don't like me, or they're a disgruntled employee, or they'll make some reason why that feedback isn't valid. And that's one of the things I actually tell people is, if you get it from one person, okay, maybe you could brush it off. But if you're hearing it consistently, and people are leaving your team, like they're quitting, they're piecing out, like then at some point you have to stop and say, just because I don't agree with it doesn't mean it's not true. But that's the hardest position to be in, is if you're not aware of how you're showing up, if you're not aware of how your leadership style is affecting your team, you're going to have a tough time. That's the only way to say it. It's
Yes,
a hard time.
exactly right. And
Yeah.
how do you approach that in your podcast? How do you give that message to your audience about the topic?
Particularly with leaders. So there's a couple things that we always encourage people to do when they are stuck in some situation. And usually what happens in those situations where you have a leader who is saying, I'm doing everything I can and it's still not working. So like what you're describing, that typically is how it shows up, right? I'm doing
Yes.
everything. I'm creating a great environment. I'm light. I'm happy, but people are still quitting. People are still complaining, that kind of stuff. Usually, the first thing we encourage people to do is to seek some outside perspective. So, because clearly you're not seeing it. Then there's something missing. If you're doing everything right and everything is still going wrong, there's a disconnect. And we encourage people to find a trusted partner. So either a
Yes.
colleague, a mentor, somebody who's aware of the dynamics, but that if they came to them and said some hard truths, you'd be likely to listen to them. So that's why we always say pick a mentor or pick
Yes.
a trusted colleague and say, hey, I'm not going to be angry. Like you have to come from it from an open-minded place of what
Yes.
are you seeing that I'm not doing well? Like, what am I doing well? But what am I not doing well? What am I missing? Because clearly there's a missing component there. But they've got
Yes,
to get the
exactly
outside
right.
perspective.
Yes, because sometimes we are so um I can say the word, but we are so full with ourselves, and we don't listen to someone we believe that is lower than us. And having a mentor is someone that sometimes it is the one who can fix the problem, address the problem correctly, and it's very important. Why do you think anyone, whoever, even if they have an own company, are on top leaders, why do you think they still need a mentor?
Oh my gosh, because you're always growing. I don't think, for a couple reasons. One, you're always growing. And so it's nice to get feedback from other people and to be challenged externally and not just within yourself. Two, I think it's important to have community around you. As a
Yes.
leader, I find leadership is getting harder every year just because the expectations are higher, things are changing. You have more generations in the workplace than you've ever had, and every generation has different
Yes.
needs, wants, expectations. Um, so to have people in your sphere, in your orbit, that you can go to and say, I'm struggling, I'm having a hard time, and get genuine feedback, get genuine ideas, insights from, are huge.
Yes.
Because they're trusted. These aren't like newbie relationships. It's people that are going to have your back and try to actually help you be successful. And also, I think mentors will continue to challenge you and push you. But
Yes.
those dynamics the trust dynamic has to be in place for that to be successful. But no, I think having outside support is critical. The higher you go, the more important it becomes. Because especially as you go up in a company, you have fewer and fewer colleagues. So when you
Yes.
think about who's like a CEO of a company, he has employees, he doesn't have colleagues. So your colleagues are going to be for somewhere else. So who you're going to potentially reach out to for support, the number gets smaller and smaller. And that's why it becomes more important that you don't enter into a group, like a silo of thinking. You want to be
Yes.
able to challenge your ideas and your thoughts with other people that you trust.
Yes. And I think what in whatever situation you are, whatever position you are, there's always someone who are ahead of you
Mm-hmm.
that can guide you to whatever you want your plan in the future. There's always ahead of you that can guide you and help you, that can, um help you with the things that you needed to be done, like that. So in this situation, how does podcasting challenge or expand your own perspective as a leader?
Oh goodness. Well, you as a podcaster know everybody who comes on your show, even if they do similar work, all approach it very differently. Um,
Yes.
and so there's a couple of different things. So one, there's just the operational nature of a podcast. So there's so many management tasky things that have to be done. So when you're in leadership, it's no different than leading a team in the sense that things have to happen at a certain time and a certain cadence. Um, it's also, I would say, just in choosing the right guests for your show. It's no different than
Yes.
hiring the right talent for your team. Like, so you want to make sure that the topics are relevant, that the guest that you have is something that's going to resonate with the people that listen to you and that support your work and what you do. Um, those things are very analogous to being in a leadership role, and then also ensuring that the episode goes well and that the content you think
Yes.
is going to be most relevant to your listener gets communicated through the podcast. So I would say those are incredibly important, and you yourself as a podcaster have to communicate well, and be able
Yes.
to get the message out about what you've just created. So how you have to become the biggest advocate, the biggest cheerleader for the work that's taking place.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, I'm seeing you're smiling and laughing because I mean, for anybody there's people who always talk about starting a podcast, and I'm like, I always ask them why, like what about is it that's appealing to you, and I'm always intrigued when they don't talk about, like, they fully don't understand like the full spectrum of stuff that has to happen for a podcast to
Yes.
take place, not
Yes.
just to record but to actually get it out and to get it into the right people's hands and the whole thing. So it has to be more than just an idea. It has to be a true labor of love to um, from idea to execution. And I think the same applies when you're leading a team. Like there's going to be days it's going to be easy and there's going to be days that it's hard, but you're showing up because it's the right kind of work. And so it's work that you find valuable.
Yes. And in whatever you do, you always have to tie it with the purpose so that you keep
Yeah.
going. So I started this podcast with a purpose for me to grow, for me to learn, and of course, for me to have a better career, find opportunity, and everything will, will follow. You just have to keep doing it. I believe we just have to keep pursuing it, and if we have a purpose, it will become a fuel for us to continue, because it's not easy doing podcasting like this right now. I can't find words to say. I am just happy being here right now, talking with you, learning from you, and it must not stop there. We should keep improving. This is my 16th episode, and I keep on learning. And
Mm-hmm.
maybe in the 17th episode, I I improve like that. And about your podcast, when did you start your podcast? By the way,
So I'm in my third year. And so
wow.
to let you know, it's so funny because I look back on the first year and I realize I made so many mistakes, so many
Yes.
mistakes because I didn't know what I didn't know. And so tying this to leadership, the same thing happens, right? Like I watched a lot of podcasters. I went on and read everything I could read. I talked to people who had shows, but it wasn't until you actually did it yourself that you
Yes.
realize how much you didn't know and how much you just kind of had to learn. Like you kind of have to go through it yourself. I'll say in my third year, which keep going. If there's any advice I can give you as a podcaster is one, it's fun in the beginning. You're going to hit a roadblock at some point where you're going to say, why am I doing this? Just know it's going to come. I don't know at what point it'll come, but everybody I know who does podcasting hits that wall of like, I don't know why I'm doing this. Is anybody even listening? Um, and then, but what I would say is if you choose to push through the wall, um, I have made enough adjustments, and like the what I realized the wall for me was that I needed to make some adjustments in how I was approaching it and how I wanted it to execute. And so once I started making those changes, the passion and excitement for the podcast has come back. I feel like
Yes.
the episodes are getting better. So yeah, but I'm in my third year, so there's a lot of lessons. And again, like just like anything, whether you equate it to parenting, leadership, um, anything in life, like the more you do it, the better you're gonna get. And
Yes.
just know there's gonna be some wild rides in there, and then it keep on keeping on, as they say.
Yes, it was a roller coaster of emotion. Sometimes you get fearful, you get happy. I don't know what I'm feeling right now. And how many episodes have you recorded already?
Oh gosh, I don't know the episode count. Um, I put out 2 episodes a month.
Okay.
And then I usually take December and July off because I use those as catch up months for people. Cause in podcasting, people they don't listen to every episode, but it's a
Yes.
wonderful opportunity to maybe publicize and remarket episodes that were really popular and really resonated with people. And plus it just kind of gives me a break to kind of step back a little bit and do some reflection on where it is. But yeah, I don't know totally how many I have. So I probably should
Yes.
know that, but I don't.
Yes. And what was been the biggest challenge doing podcasting for you?
Oh, biggest challenge. Honestly, because I do a lot of it myself, I would say it's more of the tech stuff. But and that was the wall that I hit, was like it was just so onerous. And so I ended up changing tools that I used to make my life a whole lot easier. But I would say a lot of it is related to tech and just making sure that as I promote it, that I'm getting it in the right places so that the people who need to see it can. Um, but in regard, like finding guests has never been a problem, or coming up with ideas for things has never been a problem. It usually is more of like the logistical side of it.
Yes, because um it's not easy. And of course, about the sharing your content on social media. Are you repurposing your content on social media? What's your strategy?
So my strategy has changed a lot over time. um, no, so yeah, so what I try to do is I do what a lot of people do, is you do the little shorts and you get the little snippets. And so I started pushing a lot of my content on YouTube. So it wasn't just showing up on audio. I now have it in video form as well. But also creating little reels that can then circulate over and over. Um,
It's
and as I sit and always strategize, there's probably even more that I could be doing with it. But for right now, like I feel like it's okay. Could it be better? Always. But no, my strategy is to always look at what is resonating with the listener, and then to make sure that I am getting that information out in the best way possible, through all
yes,
the SEO optimizations and all the taggings and all the little things that are in the back end that when people start
yes,
podcasting, nobody talks about. So
yes,
that's what I call the unsexy side of podcasting, because when you talk about it, like everybody thinks this is the part. This is all the part they think of. It's not the other stuff on the back end that actually makes it successful and make it work.
yes. And also, do you have someone who's helping you doing the podcasting? Because doing podcasting takes a lot of time. Do you have
No,
someone
I'm
who's
a one
helping
woman
you?
show. I'm a one
Wow.
woman show. But I have instituted, and again, some people might find this controversial, but I've instituted different tools that I leverage that have been very helpful. So
Yes.
there's some AI tools that have made my life, that have taken my workload down by hours. And have just been incredibly helpful in making sure that my work is getting out and reaching the right people.
Yes. And to someone's listening right now who's podcaster, can you share that with us?
Oh yeah, I'm a huge fan right now. And I know there's a ton of tools out there, but the ones that I'm loving today, because I'm very mindful, tools go through a lot of cycles and you always have to be open to what's coming next. But the one that I'm loving right now is Castmagic. I think it's great in a lot of what it does. I also am a big fan of Opus Clips, if in
Yes.
how they help create the clips for you and rank them, and help you understand the quality of the clip. Because just because I thought it
Yes.
was a good clip doesn't mean that the way that the internet's going to process it is going to think it's a great clip. But those I would say are the two tools I love the most right now.
All right. So thank you so much for sharing that to us. And I am using Opus, but I'm not using it the another software that you said. But I will try to use it. Maybe it
Check it
can
out.
help
You might
also with my podcast.
like
Yes.
it.
And of course, if people wants to know more about you, where they can find you, what's the social platform where you are most active?
The social platform I'm most active is LinkedIn for sure. And then you can also find me on my website, which is Kimberly J. Benoit. You can find me there or you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I don't go on the Facebook or Instagram a ton, but LinkedIn is probably the one I'm most active on.
Okay, so thank you so much, guys. If you want to know more about Kimberly, she is almost everywhere. Just reach out to her. And yeah, so I hope you all learn from what we talk about today. And yeah, God bless you all and keep pushing, keep pursuing your dreams because at the end of the day, it's for you, it's for your family, for the better life. Okay, thank you so much and bye bye. God bless. Thank you so much, Kim.
Thank you. Thank you